Hello YouTube, Ronin Kaze. 2 days in a row got the beginning done. We're doing survival in the division, the first division. The whole thing took me over an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I had my first thing, I died pretty fast. I'm entering the dark zone. So you can't just run to the dark zone. The dark zone is the PvP area in the division. When you go into survival, you can pick whether you're going to do PvE or PvP. I pick PvE because I'm, insert your bad word for me there. Before you can get into the dark zone, you have to raise your filter level. The story of the division is this. There's a global pandemic, YouTube. So you have to have an advanced filter to even go in there. And then once you're in there, you have to build a flare gun. So it's a very, it was one of the best parts of the division. The division is a great game. It's a little dated. Some of the mechanics of using the electronic devices, not so great. Division 2 really has that down to a science. Took away some of the overpoweredness of the division, but for the gameplay and I don't know, maybe I'm partial to New York City and the snow and everything, and this time of year survival was fantastic, and it still is. I just died immediately in the first one. DayZ's a great survival game. I tried to look up what's the history of survival games, and I mean, this is what's stupid about the internet. Space Invaders, YouTube, not a survival game. Only an AI would say it's a survival game because it's misinterpreting whatever. Part of the thing in the dark zone, you're getting caches that you can't bring them back. You can only extract them out because they're corrupted by disease or whatever. So I picked these up inadvertently because you have to grind materials to build more clothing so you're warmer. Mobs drop loot, which improves your build, and really it's a very multifaceted strategy to get in there. There's also a timer function. You have a disease. When your plane crashes, I kept that video in there. When your helicopter crashes, you get infected. You get punctured by a nail, and so then you have this infection that you can kind of keep down, but there's eventually like a timer on this. Furthermore, once someone pops the flare gun, I think that's it that you guys got to extract. So you want to build your character up, and the best materials and best stuff is in the dark zone, but you also face these hunters, more bosses. And in the division, it has a ranking of mobs or enemies from red, purple to gold. And you're going to face more gold mobs here in the dark zone. And if you're in the PvP version, you're going to face other people. So I'm in this part. I've spent the first hour trying to get to this part because you have to be high enough, because once you face a hunter, really should have a turret. And here's the thing about the division that's kind of like the old real-time strategy games. If you're not constantly putting pressure on the enemy, they're going to swarm you. So if you don't have a turret to push them away, to give them a I can't go into the face of a turret, right? That's kind of the intelligence that's built in there. I'm also trying to make the video so I can go out and do my stuff, right? So you guys can enjoy it today. Happy Friday, YouTube. Survival games are fun. They put a little bit of anxiety in everyone. Maybe you don't have anxiety, so maybe you've never felt the time crunch. For those of us who have felt fake headset, by the way, YouTube, probably too far forward. It looks kind of dopey. It touches those areas of anxiety where you have a time pressure. Whenever I take tests, I'm normally a fast test taker, but that anxiety to finish it caused anxiety, YouTube. So that hits on that. Then not having to have the right amount of material, so you got to go out and farm. So at a certain point, I go out. Now, I think there's one other player that's left. You start out with however many players, and they start dropping off, and it announces it each time someone drops off. Player 6 dropped off. And you don't hang around to see what happens. You just get out of there and go into the lobby and get a new game. I got to go near these barrels for heat. If you get enough clothes and you either procure them, steal them, loot them, or make them, there's yellows right there, YouTube. And it's a named guy, so it's a boss. And see, there's the other guy that's alive right now. And if I had my mic on, if I would have used this headset, I could have said, hey, let's you ready to extract? And he would have said, no, I'm getting more stuff. But I want to extract because I want to make this video for you guys. And I have 2 purple guns. Your weapons and your gear goes along that same color scale. Red, blue. There's no blue mobs. Red, blue, purple, and yellow being the best. And he lets me grab that, I think. Because also when you're doing this, you don't want to hoard all the stuff because then the other guy doesn't get anything. You both want to go in there kind of strong. So I go back in here to loot stuff. Or maybe I don't. I have to get this thing called Division Tech. So I have to loot a box that has this piece of gear. This is really the second time. I mean, the first run I went through, I died like in, 10 minutes or something crazy. So now I'm trying to craft everything. You're going to see what happens in my inventory. Easy mechanic. Like all games, these higher end, when you're ready to extract, you've got to have higher end materials. Now you can either farm them in here, which probably most of you will do because you're better than me, or you get crappier materials and then you can, 2 make one of the next level, 2 of that level make one of the next level. So, or you can cascade up. I remember the first time I kind of played something like this was Call of Duty or Black Ops, or maybe that's the same thing. Sorry, YouTube. But, we're zombies where you'd have to cover an area or whatever. And that's not so much like a survival game. And I think we had Days End or one of those games, Left 4 Dead or something like that on the Xbox. My kids had Xbox. I always was a PC. I'm not good with the body temperature. I'm better now. So the one skill I had is this pulse. And it's amazing in a game like this, when you can see where the enemies are, it's very helpful, right? It gives you the jump on them. And so if you do in PvP, you can have a thing where you kind of block that so people can't do that to you. So there's all kinds of good strategies. Division 2 are good for PvP. That's if you get people that aren't hacking it, and that's like every game. I was going to include, when I was in the Coast Guard, I'd always try to get a copy of survival manuals from different branches. And then when there was PDFs, I'd get like the Army survival, and then the Marine Corps has stuff. And all those kind of things are always good. Just if you look at them, maybe it's, when you have a second read, when we used to read YouTube, you could pick up tips of how to survive. For example, I'm doom scrolling last night, if that's the right way to use it, YouTube. And the guy says, if you're ever buried in a coffin, how do you get out? He goes, you don't punch up at first because then all the dirt comes in and fills in your... And I was like, oh gosh, that's right. So then he was like, roll over, break the bottom, urinate into the sand, it makes it softer, stomp on that ground, make a thing, then punch through the top, and all that dirt falls into the hole you created, and then you can get out. Not obvious to me. I'd like to think I'm a smart person, but that wasn't obvious to me. 2 agents remaining. Another guy just got smoked. So it's me and the other guy. I'm just trying to get my loot so I can make a flare gun. So survival's important. In the Coast Guard, you had a lot of water survival, like how to drown proof, where you would inflate your pants and make them like a life preserver around you. Or, you would lay face first in the water, and just float and keep the air in your lungs. You'd float, and then every once in a while you'd turn up, take a breath in, and then you'd go back down. That's called drown proofing. So it's just interesting, all those kind of things. When I've talked to people that were in the Marines or the Army and they had to go out, we're not even talking about being a ranger or any of that. You're just a normal, and you're out in the field. It's way different than, and you got to live out in the field for a week or 2 weeks. If the comments were on, I'd love to have someone explain that, like what it was, because you just probably pick up some of that stuff already. I was a city boy, so like there was no way I was going to be in the Army or that. Didn't have those skills growing up. I was around the water all the time. Anyways, YouTube. So that chest I looted had some of this division tech. Now I'm trying to find where my stuff is. Normally, the Division and Division 2 have a mini map, but in survival mode, they turn it off. They'll at least let you pick where you want to go. But without a compass, right, you would have a compass. So that's a fair trade-off. On news, I got Ghost BSD to load. It comes with Mate, the graphical interface. I tried to load KDE. Again, BSD is infinitely harder to do than Linux, right?
Core temperature is below
Again, if you
optimal
ever
levels.
want to have a review of what life used to be like, there you go. And that community seems so proud that it's just hard as crap.
Readings indicate
Right.
this area is safe.
So you can download KDE, but then you got to either have X11, and my X11 is botched, and it goes, well, here's the 6 steps you got to do. And then, right, it's, none of it works. So Mate works. Why are you punishing us, BSD people? That's gatekeeping, right? To keep you out of using it. No reason not to use it otherwise, right? If someone just said, here's the distro, it's perfect, and it's going to have KDE all set, all the Wayland, what it needs, and it just works, you're going to, like Linux does. Thank you, Linux. So I'm getting ready to make this flare, or I've already made it. I think I have to craft the materials up. I'm still missing like a tool or something, a weapon piece. So you see, don't have enough. So let me go to the next one. The other horrific thing about the Division YouTube, if you're not careful and you don't read, sometimes you have to make that part. I have one Division tech. I need one Division tech to make the flare, but you can also use the Division tech as a universal part to make these other parts. So you don't want to do that because that uses up your part. Then you got to go out and hunt for more. In the Division 2, they'll have some missions. There's like a mission where you all group together, and then you'll fight a bunch of hunters at the end, and a group of you will defend this pickup point from a helicopter. That's a pretty fun mode. You're at like a nuclear reactor. It's pretty cool. And you can play it on different hardness levels. Survival. It's tough because the hunters are tough. And really what controls the level, you control the level. I have no yellow pieces. I have some purples. I'm just not geared high enough, which you're going to find out, YouTube. So here's my big shot for glory, YouTube. I'm going to the extraction site. I ping everything. Shouldn't have pinged now. Okay, so I got like a minute or 2 minutes I got to survive. See how the screen got fuzzy? Those hunters disabled the technical stuff. So really, it's just a DPS, weapon DPS. I'm normally a fighter with electronics because I stink. So I've always had historically a bad time doing this. My one weapon is a 3-shot burst weapon, which is okay, but you just need tons, and this is a bad choice by me. I'm not protected. I couldn't run up there. The Division is a, seek, shelter kind of, cover kind of game. I can't find cover. He kills all the, Does a pulse right there, and then I'm down. And this is what the hunters do. They stand over you and then they axe you.
Signs not found.
They don't axe you what you want for dinner, YouTube. They axe you into submission. So I'm going to wait here a little bit. Maybe that guy will res me. Maybe he'll get out of here. Maybe something will happen. Maybe I've just ruined his day. I don't remember if you can have multiple. I think you have multiple extractions, so he could still extract. And I probably had time. I didn't look at how many minutes I saw. I might have had a half hour still to gather stuff. That's the anxiousness part. So that's worth the price of admission right there. If you had a bunch of friends and you're sitting over Christmas break, that would be a good, probably inexpensive game, and you could do that all day. You could run, you could probably play that whole game and do all the missions on heroic at least, and then legendary, and then be done with that game, right? Over the 2 weeks or the 1 week you have left for your break. And that guy's just camping my body. Dirty AI. Why is the AI allowed to camp? That's abhorrent behavior, YouTube. The great thing about survival games are that
30 seconds.
they're tough. They're tough puzzles that are multifaceted and ever changing. This isn't the only place you could go to extract. There's another extraction on top of a building
15 seconds.
where you're a little more protected. You really have people can come up the stairs, or people can come, climb up another building, come at you, these hunters. So I've done that one. Again, I don't know how proficient I am. I haven't played the Division a long time. Blah, blah, blah. Excuse. I just did the first one. I wanted to make the video for YouTube. So I've updated you on BSD. What am I also trying to do? There is also a Linux distribution, Slacks, which I'm trying to put KDE on that. The idea is this. I'm going to have like a distribution that I just run my browser out of, and then so like I'm super protected because I'm in Linux and I'm in a virtual machine, and how's it going to jump all those hoops to get over to me? That could be totally stupid also. I don't know. So after action, you get a score, YouTube. I think the best I ever got was 10,000, but that was with there was more people and the game was going on more. And you see, that's what I got ranked. That was kind of low there. So YouTube, Ronin Kaze out. Survival. Ronin Kaze, survival. Bye.